Hey, welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you my top 10 tools that I use in TradingView every single day. And number 10 is the best of all. So stay tuned to that. But right now, let's dive into TradingView and let's get into it. Alrighty, so here we are, guys. We're in the TradingView app. So there's a desktop app. There's also obviously a website that you can use. I prefer to use the app, and you can obviously use the app on your phone as well. But right here, we're inside TradingView, and there's a lot of things. If you're brand new to this, obviously step one is setting up a free account with them. You do not need a paid account when you're brand new. It is helpful for setting up alerts and having some extra features, like being able to set up extra panes like this. Like you will not be able to split your screen three ways if you are on a free account. So for instance, one of my setups, I might do something like this when I'm looking at 3 different time frames at once, but that is not for this training, that is for something else. So right now we are looking at gold, and you'll see in the top left-hand corner, gold, Black Bull, that is our broker here in New Zealand that we use, and that 1W means weekly. So we're looking at a weekly time frame. So if I scroll back, daily, now every candle, which you guys would have picked up in the basics course, represents price change in a day. So you can see that, yesterday we had a big green day for gold. How much, what happened? So measuring tool. This is the very, very first tool that I'm going to talk about right now. It's not even in my favorites bar, but the measuring tool. So you can see there that gold went up a significant amount, 99 between the open and the close, 99 US dollars, so the price of an ounce extra in the price of gold. And so next up, we're going to scale down. We're going to go time frames down, 4 hour, and we're going to maybe stay there for now, right? So we can just look at these tools. So what is happening right now? I'm talking about the top 10 tools that I need you to all learn for TradingView. So you're going to see up here, I have got a favorites bar. So anywhere on the left-hand side, over here are all of our tools that we're going to reference. And so, the crosshair itself, you can change that to a dot or an arrow or whatever. So I have just got it set to that. But getting into the tools, the first one I have got here is a Fib Retracement tool, which is not something you might use every day. But over here on the left, you're going to see all the different tools, right? So from the top, we've got lines. It says lines, obviously, and channels. Pitchforks, not something I ever touch. And we're going to have Fibonacci tools all inside of this. You're probably never going to use these in your early days, but this one tool in particular, because I starred it, it sits on my favorite bar. So there's your first hack. You need to put a star on something to add it to your favorites bar. Next up, we're going to see all the different pattern things here. Again, not something you're going to touch on. I sometimes might use the head and shoulders tool to draw a head and shoulders pattern, but again, probably not something you're going to use much. Long and short position, we'll definitely show you those. They're on the favorites bar. There's volume, things like that, but we've got that built into our indicator, so don't worry. On the drawing tool, you've got obviously the brush and highlighter and arrows. The ones I use the most will be the rectangle and the circle, so they're on my favorites bar. Beneath that, we've got text. I will sometimes write something on the chart if I'm showing someone something or doing a live, but not often. Icons, I don't think most of us will be using those. The measuring tool, like I've already shown you, zooming in, magnet, keep drawings, lock drawings, hide all drawings, pretty handy. And obviously you can trash something. So right now, let's start at the very beginning. Pretty good idea. Fib tool. So to draw a Fibonacci retracement, which is something we don't do every day in our community, but still very valid. You're going to pick a low point like this. You're going to pick a low and you're going to click, and then you're going to drag it up to a high. And that's going to give you these Fib retracement levels. And so inside of that, we will often talk about how price expands all the way from an ultimate low to an ultimate high and then pulls back or retraces. That's why it's called a retracement tool. And the most often that you'll see it retrace to, look, using the rectangle tool right now, the next tool, is going to be our 50 to 60%, 61.8 retracement tool. So if I just do that and highlight the zone, what happened between 50% and 61.8? Well, price from that ultimate high pulled all the way back to 61.8, maybe 62%, and gave us a bit of a big a double bottom in here, big W pattern, and then shot out. And so that is a tool I will often use if, for instance, I'm not going to give you a full teaching on fibs right now, but once price breaks the 236 level, and once we got underneath that, we could expect price to potentially come as low as 50 to 61.8. And if price broke below that, the next zone we often would look for on these higher time frames would be this one right here, 786. 886 zone in there. So I'm going to delete those. That's the Fibonacci tool. If you want to get into the settings of those, you can copy these. I've got them here. These are the ones I use. I learned from one of my educators in my early days, and I've just adopted them. So I've also got some extensions, which is a bit of another lesson for another time. But right now you can see the ones that I've ticked. You can see the 0.382, the 0.618. You can obviously change the color of these things and whatnot. But you can change all these things. You can save them as your defaults or templates. If we go lower, you'll see that I've also got that extension 1.618. Now this becomes important if you're drawing fibs the other way. Again, not quite the lesson I'm going for right now, but just to show you if I was to draw it the other way around from low to high, from high to low, we'll then see that those extensions are up there. So once price breaks, we might expect that to happen. So that's just, well, for kicks and giggles, that's to see what this looks like. So if you're going from, say, here to there, did price hit this extension? Yes, obviously it did. And did we get the next one? Yes, we did. So once price broke this high over here with quite an explosion, we would have expected the next price to potentially move up to there, and then eventually 236, another common extension. So that's how you use the extension tool inside of the Fibonacci tool. So let's keep moving, right? I've already shown you the rectangle. I use that very often for marking up zones, whether that be fibs or anything else. Next up, we have got our ray tool. So very often you'll hear people talk about drawing trend lines. And so yes, I use the trend line tool, and I probably should favorite that as well. But I just see it because it stays right there all the time. So a lot of people, they're going to try and draw some trends, and they're going to do something like this. They're going to grab their trend line, and they're going to hope and pray that it sticks to the right zone, and then they're going to do this, and it's going to go right there, and maybe whatever. I like to use the ray tool because the ray is going to shoot a line into the inevitable future, and I can then control the next point it's going to go to. And so I don't have to think about how far it's going to go. And then if I want to delete that later, I will then grab my trusty trend line tool, draw it over the top, and then get rid of the rest of it like that. That's how I use the ray tool. I love it. I can magnetize 2 points. I'll get into using the magnet tool later, but it provides very, very high accuracy when drawing trend lines. So I'm going to delete that right now and move on. The horizontal ray tool. Now this is brilliant for marking out. If you want to keep a key level on your chart like this, I might smack it on like that. I might then decide to, you know what, I want to clone that and grab another one real quick and drop it over there. Things like that. That's why I use the horizontal ray tool. And a lot of the guys in our community, you'll know that I love using Lux Algo's session indicator. I'm going to drop down to a 1 hour chart so we can actually see this in play right now. Now you're going to see all of the unique sessions that are taking place over the past week. So from today being Thursday, the 10th of April over here in New Zealand, we can look all the way back to Thursday last week on the 3rd of April. And so I'm just going to chuck that magnet tool on and show you what I do. I'll be marking out lows. So, you know, if price was going to be pulling back right now, I want to know, okay, yesterday's low of New York was that. And I get a little crazy and I like to color code things. So I've got the colors preset, which match the box. And then if I want to do another one, I will clone that. Take that low and maybe stick it on that high. So before price hadn't come up to this high yet, you know, Asia and Sydney just opened up. Price has sure enough come out and just gotten above that level. What if I want to mark out another one? Well, if I just keep cloning, I'm going to keep the same levels and might be looking for, we can see price already knocked out that high over there from London. The next New York level, well, I'm not really too fussed about the ones right now. The next one I might just keep is that one right there, that low. And then, you know, London, we've got this big one up here. So I might just draw a fresh one. Go something like that, and on the color, once you draw something, you're going to get these other tools that pop up here. So the color itself, that's my London color. You can have text color, you can have the thickness of that line. I can change to make it super thin. If you're using a phone a lot, guys, I suggest using very thin lines because the thick lines will just take up too much space. But I've got pretty high resolution on my screen, so I like to keep a lot of these lines thick. You can change all sorts of things. You can trash them, do whatever, add alerts, all that. So that's how I use that horizontal ray tool. And then if you're using multiple different tabs, so I've got this gold chart I'm showing you as a training example right now, but I have another one over here, which is my actual one where I've got some channels drawn and things like that going right along. This is my three-way split. Again, a little bit more complicated, but if you're wanting to sync this line, you want to draw on one higher time frame, which I usually do, and right click on a line. It's currently not synced at all, but if I if I tick sync globally, this line is going to show up on every single chart I have open that is gold and on Black Bull. So then these lines I can draw in one space and they'll transpire to all my other time frames. I know that looks busy. We'll leave that alone for now. But right now, that is how I use that horizontal ray tool. And the next one, vertical line. I love using this vertical tool. Let me turn off the sessions tool right now so we can just get rid of that. And sessions indicator, excuse me. Now, if I was zooming right into a 1 minute chart and looking for an opportunity to take a trade, and I actually took a trade, I might then like to mark up my line of, say I entered, well, you know, I haven't entered anything, but let's just say we drew a ray and we utilized this, and this, and we're just waiting for this trend line break and bounce, something like that, then let's just say you entered over there. I would draw a vertical line on my chart on the candle I entered on, so I can then sync that on different time frames. And if I'm looking at multiple different time frames, then I will be able to see that line on those other time frames quite accurately if I'm, looking at more than one pane at once. So that's how I use the vertical tool. It's pretty easy. I might push it ahead in time if I know there's a news event coming up at, say, 1:30 today, if there was one. And if I'm busy here and I get really focused and I forget what the time is, bang, I've got this line to remind me. As the candles obviously get closer, I'm going to start paying more attention. So that's our vertical tool, vertical line tool right there, vertical ray to be more specific. Next one is this channel. So what does that look like? Well, you just saw on my other chart that I'd already drawn up this one over here on the 15-minute chart. So let's just go over here and look at this 15 minutes, changing down to a 15-minute, and look at what's been happening with gold. And so if I zoom in a little bit more, like we said, we could use the ray tool and go and, get a low point and a low point and magnetize it like that. Now, what if we thought, what if that same bottom trend line is actually a channel? So the channel is inside, I always forget where these things are because I use them all the time and I star them, but there we go, parallel channel, under channels, it's over here. I'm going to grab it, click on there as well, and then click that point, maybe just take it further. Use the ray to go a bit further so it's a bit easier, and then draw it out. And then, oh snap, look how many multiple touch points we've had on the top side in line with this same trend line. So I might get rid of that ray right now and delete it. Now we've just got this, and I've preset these colors so that my bottom of my channel is blue for support, and stock standard it might be white, but you can change all these things. And then the top of my trend lines are this purpley pink color, might be red, whatever you want, you can customize it. So I like that, blue and pink. So I've got support on the bottom being blue and red being on the top, which is pink, like that. And so look, now I'm aware that, prices actually, we're trending up, but we're also trending inside of a clearly defined space. So this low obviously being our ultimate low, which has caused this channel to actually exist. Before that, maybe we were just stuck inside that zone there, and then price has broken lower, and now you can see that we've got a little bit of a zone up there that correlates to these levels, but really the ultimate low that we've experienced is there. So I'm going to leave that there because right now it looks like we're in the middle of the range and rejecting it and potentially coming back down. Who knows? Anyway, I want to show you that because that channel can sometimes, if you spot a trend line, what if that trend exists on the other side? Because then if price is coming up to this area here, you might be leaning slightly towards the, I believe price might reject, just like it's done 1, 2, 3, 4, how many times across there. So that is our parallel channel tool, which I like to have on my favorites bar. Next up, circle. Again, if I want to highlight something, if I want to take a screenshot and show people some stuff, I might, want to highlight something small within a drawing like that. So, hey, check out the white circle, or look at the little signal. Like if you're taking trades, a lot of the trades I take, you see the little execution arrows are really tiny, and I want to put the little white circle around it so I can later on go, oh yeah, there's my actual entry like that. So that's why I use the circle for. Pretty handy. I use it almost every day. And then our long and short position tool. So say you actually were taking a trade, and again, I don't have anything. Well, let's just look. Let's just draw. If you were just trading trend lines, for instance, and we had something like, see, the magnet tool's ruining me right now, but if we turn it off for a second, say you got in on the trade on the break of that trend right there, something like that, and that's where you got in, whatever. No education on entry right here. Long position. You take this tool and say you got in on the close of that candle, so you got in there. When you click it, that's going to be your center point. This bottom box represents your risk. So potentially, now this is not linked to your actual trade. This is a good visual demonstration for describing your trade. So say your trade was, your stop was beneath the low. So you got a ginormous stop for gold, 20, or in this case, it's more like 2000 pips or 200, depending on how you count it. And say you're targeting the previous high all the way up here. This would be representing your trade right now. And so risk in the bottom, the red, these colors might be different. You can, again, click settings, go in here, and you can shift these. You can change the opacity on them. You can make them really dark. I just like them to be kind of hovering in the background while I'm trading. And you can, again, obviously change the colors of those. You can change all sorts of things, but right now, that's what I've got it set to. So risk being the bottom. So if price was to come down after you push buy and stop you out, your stop loss level would have been here, and your take profit level sitting up here, and this trade is running. It's telling you right now that you are 106 points in profit. Really, it's more like 10,000 points with gold. But anyway, this is your measuring. And then that 7.36 is your risk to reward ratio. So as I bring this down, you're going to see there, see if it matches the 20 we have on the bottom, it'll be a 1-to-1. So that would be risking 20 to make 20. So risking 1 to make 1. As soon as we get to 40, it's going to go to about 2.0. There we go. There's your 2.0. Risking 1 to make 2. That's pretty good. You know what? Risking 1 to make 3 is better, which you obviously would have had on this trade if you were taking a high time frame swing. But there we go. Just wanted to show you how that risk to reward, sorry, long position. So long is another word for buy, which you would have heard in the course. But risk to reward on a long position tool like that. Short position tool, you'll find the reverse. So I've starred them both over here under projection. That's what these are. They're forecasting tools. So short position is the flip side. So what if you would have taken a short? Let's just look at something like this. Say you were just, you know, not following any signals, but just doing something like that. And you took a short over there. Sorry, click the button to Stevenson. There we go. Bang, click the button, got our short position in. Say, look, all of this is just hypothetical. Say here you had your risk, your reward, whatever. You see what I'm doing. It's exactly the same as the long, but it's on the short side. And that's just how we draw our long and short. So this is a good way, like if you took trades, and even if they went against you, like say you decided to push short over there at the absolute bottom, which is ridiculous, but anyway, say you did that and price went against you. Let's just try and get a better example of that right there. So you can see that, I'm trying to get you to see the actual arrows. It's a little hard. You can see there's a little bit of a dotted line going through there, but that's showing how price actually, there we go. That's a bit more obvious. You can see there. So price didn't come down. It went up and it knocked you out. So it would have hit your stop loss over there, and that dotted arrow shows. So if you're trading, guys, this is a nice way to even just journal your trades visually. You can leave your long and short positions on your chart after you've finished your session for the day and go back and review them and ask yourself, why did I get in the trade here? Why did I click short? Did I have any confirmations? Maybe you got sucked into that a trend line break over there. This is why trading trend lines on their own is not enough, because at that point, say you saw that break, you went, yes, we broke the trend line, and we just fake out, breakout, went back up, knocked you out, and then continued down, whatever. Cool way to document your trades like that. So that is that for those tools, guys. I've got one more, which I've already been using on every single tool, and that is the magnet tool. And so that is the bonus for us. So we've got all these tools up here. We talk about Fibonacci, rectangles, rays, horizontal rays, vertical rays, our parallel channels, circles, long and short positions, and our magnet tool. Now, I can't stress enough how important this magnet tool is for me. Like I said, with the rays, I've already demonstrated this, but if I'm drawing them, this is going to magnetize with either weak or strength. You know, you can go high level strength or weak. I like to set it to strong or set it to off, one of the two. And that's just going to grab that candle straight away for me, grab that candle, bang. Now I've got that on. And this is why I draw trend lines like this. I will then grab my trend line tool. That'll magnetize. And then this one, I will get bang on top of there. Then I might delete this if I don't want it going in the future. And the magnet is just, it's gold. Like if you want to be measuring something like this and you want to grab that ultimate wick, say there, it'll magnetize to it. You can drag it up to the top. So you can see that from the bottom to the top, you can see that exact movement, and the magnet just grabs whatever wick or body, base or top, open and close that you want, and it's going to help you out. So that magnet tool for me is an absolute must. Another thing, hiding drawings. I can click all those drawings off if I want to, or bring them all back on, whatever you want. That's just how you utilize those tools. On the side here, obviously you can expand price, and this is just some things for, I know we might have some beginners watching this. If you right click this, reset price scale, now you're going to see it's going to be automatic. And so as I scroll, it's going to do a nice automated thing when you're on that automatic reset. Otherwise, you can, as soon as you click and drag, now it's going to be fixed. It's not going to actually move in the way that if you're scrolling. So you'll play around with your mouse and figure this out. But if you ever want to reset it, just hit reset. And now you can see that it's going to actually be moving in a little bit more of a fine way. So sometimes you might be all compressed and you're looking at price like, man, what's going on? And actually you just need to hit reset. So that is that. That's how you adjust those kind of things. A few more settings, guys, that I want to show you. Right click and go to settings. Some important things in here. So you're going to see symbol. This is where you might come and change the color of your body of your candles. So the bodies being the bodies and the borders, which you might not be able to see in the wicks. These are not the standard default settings. I've obviously changed them. You can make them whatever you want, but you can do that in there or restore things to the default or save them. Status line. So these are important things to know. So the logo, look at the top left with Black Bull. There's a gold icon disappearing. The title, you know, I like to keep that on. Open market status. That is this little dot up here, which tells us if the market's open and for how long for. It's saying it'll close in 20 minutes. Interesting. And so that if it's not on, you'll know when the markets reopen at that little gap in time in the middle of the day like that. I need to zoom in for us to a 5-minute chart, and you will see the gap where New York closed at 9 in the morning and where Sydney opened later on. Well, this is saying 10, but usually the markets actually are closed for an hour or so in the middle of the day, depending on daylight savings and things like that. So open market status, chart values, those values right there are pretty cool. If you highlight any candle like this one where I am in the middle, if I highlight that candle, it's now showing me the open price, the high price, OHLC, the low, and the close of that particular candle, if you want to know those exact digits. So you can have that on your chart if you want. Another thing, title, see under indicators. Title. Some people have this unticked and they can't find their indicators when they're on or off. And so this inputs as well, way too much information, right? On top of the indicator. I turn the inputs off, but you need to have this on for title. So you can actually see the indicators that you have got on your chart like that. So that is something right there. Indicators, titles, very important. Scales and lines. You know, you can come in here and mess around with all sorts of different things. And I don't want to make this video too long, but some important things you will learn along the way. For instance, one thing when you are trading, you know, you just come and click and mess around, turn things on, turn things off, and you'll start to see, you know, previous highs and lows. You could actually have these on your chart if you wanted to. But one important one, bid and ask price. So I keep the values off, but you'll see there's a white little dotted white line on my chart right here. And that white line is representing price, which most people, almost everyone will have on their chart. And it's going to be one of these which you can actually turn off, and right now I've just got it on. Let's see, line, yep, there, the white line, actual price right now. So that's what everybody sees. The important line when you're actually trading is this bid and ask price, because those lines are the ones, whew, and as we say in that, gold is dropping. But these are the lines, these blue and red lines that are actually going to be hitting your stop loss or hitting your take profit. And so those are the important lines, and when you're zooming into a 1-minute chart, they become a little bit more important. So Apple Z or Control Z can undo if you move something that you don't want to move. But again, lines, I want those on because those lines are the important ones. So something right there in your settings. Next up, canvas. This is where I know Dad showed in our training the other night how your background, you know, some of you might want to change this to whatever you want. You've got all the grid lines, which you could have set on, which I don't, but I mean, this looks pretty horrendous. Some people do this. I definitely do not. But again, if your chart's looking too busy, maybe just come and turn them off, right? And make it look more simple. Watermarks, that's just going to show you the backgrounds of whatever you're looking at if you're likely to forget. Not too much more over there. Trading, now this is pretty important. Under trading, if you are exiting some positions, that's going to show them on your chart. You can change that to show you money, ticks, or percentages if you don't want to be revealing your actual numbers. Orders, that's going to show if you've got a stop loss order or a take profit order on your chart. Executions, that's going to show your actual arrows, your buys and sell arrows for executing, which I'll do a paper trading, demo trading, how to trade and TradingView video after this, but that's what you need to tick to be able to see it. Alerts, you can set all sorts of alerts, not going to get into that now, news events, etc. So those are those settings, not too much more. Again, most of you already know this. Under alerts, you know, the way that we find our indicators that I've sent you are TRENDFORCE 2.1. Our main indicator, you click that once, it'll go on your screen up there, which I've already added. So I've already added it on there. And the other one being our MACD, which I've also added, but if you click it, it will add it down below. So because I've got one already, it's now come back. But another little hack, double click my screen and I'm clicking this long position. Sorry, that is why it's not doing what I wanted to do, because we've zoomed in so much. Double click anywhere, not on top of an icon, and you'll get rid of your MACD or whatever's on the bottom. Double click again, brings it back. All the little hacks, reset chart, and there we are now on a pretty crazy zoomed in afternoon on gold. So that's probably it. Another thing, you know, candles. We're on standard candles right now. You'll hear Dad often talk about Heinin Ashi. That is these candles down here. They look very different. They're momentum candles, and so they are quite friendly, to be honest. If you are a newbie and you are less likely to be faked out by red candles, you see how many greens there are in here. One red in the middle, another one there. If I swap back to normal candles, they're going to look very different. Lots more noise, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Potentially 10 red candles instead of 2. Price is still going in the same direction, but it just gives different information. They are momentum candles and they are very powerful for our indicator and what Dad has programmed specifically for Heinin Ashi. So because I just put a star on them, they sit up there, so I can change them very easily and quickly. Otherwise, guys, you know, there's all sorts of other functions inside of TradingView. This is not going to be an extensive video on that. You can get into the replay tool and use that. Just note you can't use the replay tool in Heinin Ashi candles, only in normal ones. And, you know, you can start setting up different indicator templates. So I've got a few set up right here, and you can save them and adjust them, do all sorts of things. But for now, that will probably do it for this little hack on TradingView, showing you the top 10 tools. So let me unshare my screen quickly. So there you have it. There are my top 10 tools for TradingView. Don't forget that magnet tool, big number 10. Absolutely love that tool. You might hate it. Let me know in the comments if you don't like the magnet tool. But for me, I'm all about accuracy and pinpointing my things. If I'm drawing a fib, I am drawing that Fibonacci tool exactly on the wick at the bottom and on the wick at the top, and I want it to snap to that level. So the details count in trading. So anyways, guys, that is it for this video on TradingView. Look for more on the channel. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We're uploading multiple videos every single week to help you become profitable in your trading. And if you're part of our TRENDFORCE crew on the inside, thanks for tuning in. And if not, reach out to me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to help and share more information with you if that is something you want to be a part of. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Trade safe. See ya.